Hello, welcome back to Debut Album January, and today we are taking a look at Emerson, Lake and Palmer's self-titled 1970 debut album. Emerson, Lake and Palmer was formed after the departures of several members after each member departed from their previous band. Keith Emerson departed from The Nice, a band that was instrumental in founding the progressive rock movement, as was King Crimson, the band that Greg Lake left. These two dudes joined up, and they needed a drummer. A drummer by the name of Carl Palmer agreed, he had cut an album with a band known as Atomic Rooster. I don't know anything about Atomic Rooster apart from that. And there were also rumors that Jimi Hendrix was going to join. This, of course, is bullshit. They never even approached the man. I don't even think the dude knew who they were. But anyway, so there are 6 songs on this glorious album, starting with number 1, The Barbarian. Now, this song opens with some epically distorted guitar, joined by Keith Emerson and Carl Palmer's mastery of their own instrument. And by the time they come in, guess what? I've already jizzed myself. It's fucking awesome. It goes into this more, jazzy version of the song while still playing the same tune. It's obvious why it's at this point. It's sort of obvious why Keith Emerson gets top billing. He is like 75% of Emerson, Lake and Palmer's sound. I'm just saying. And then, it returns to the beginning of the song and ends in an even more jizz-worthy fashion. Fucking excellent. Song number 2, Take a Pebble. This is the longest song on the album, and it is a much slower, less jazzy, it's a much slower, much more jazzy, than the opening song. It shows off Greg Lake's talent in both his voice and bass playing. I believe this is one of the 2 songs he gets main writing credit for on this album. The tune speeds up in the middle, and then just kind of, goes for a while. The tune speeds up for about 2.5 minutes in. Has a very quiet, moment / midsection, that sort of reminds me of like the weird avant-garde atonal bit from King Crimson's Moonchild. Except this is less stupid. And also, if you listen to it, it kind of reminds you of that, one section in Rush's 2112. I don't know, like, maybe they took some inspiration from this. I have no idea. But they could have. It kind of gradually builds into this, Old West sounding thing. It really shows off Lake's instrumental talent. Like, the dude was, again, he does, like, when I think of Greg Lake, I think more about his voice than I think about his guitar playing. He definitely has his moments. He has his moments in Tarkus. He has, the beginning of, the first song on this album. He has some neat solos on Brain Salad Surgery. But, again, when I think about Greg Lake, I think more about his voice than his guitar playing. That's not to say I can't identify him. It just takes me a little bit longer. And then there, like, the piano fades back up. And then Keith does his Jazzy Keith thing for a while, and then Carl joins in, followed by Greg, and then we're back to jamming, and then it returns to the beginning. Fucking fantastic song. I wrote a lot about this song, if you can't tell. It's 12 minutes, which pretty good, which, not the longest song they'd ever write, but off the bat, we're getting 10-minute songs, which is pretty cool. Song number 3, and the closer of side 1, Knife Edge. This is the best song on the album. Alright? It just is. It's fucking phenomenal, and it is the first song that, really shows off that it's played by Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. This is the first time where all three men really step into their own and really show off their excellence as a band. Up till now, it's been mostly Greg Lake and Keith Emerson. Carl's obviously there, but he really, really gets to show off here. It's not his most show-offy on the album, but he really gets to show off here. The lyrics are really fucking cool, but I have no goddamn clue what any of them mean. Shows the talents of all three band members equally. Just said that. The organ breakdown is just truly fucking jizz-worthy. And I know this song is based on a previously existing piece of classical music, as is the next song. But it's I think this is the most famous version of that that classical piece, and it's got a very jammy midsection, and then it just wraps it all back around. It is fucking jizz-worthy. If there is one song from this album you should listen to, it is Knife Edge. It's amazing. Song number 4, The Three Fates. It is an 8-minute, 3-part suite, which is basically Keith Emerson playing a classical piece of music in a rock and roll style. This is the other song that I know for a fact is based off of a piece of classical music. I think The Barbarian is as well. But this is very, very obviously based off of a piece of classical music. There's not much else to say about this one. Song number 5, Tank. Starts with, a neat little bass riff, over Carl's drumming, and then Keith joins in on this, harpsichord synth. There's some very cool musical interplay between, Keith Emerson and Greg Lake. And then, Carl Palmer has mostly just essentially been a guy here to play an instrument. That's a lot of what his function was in the band anyway. Not to say that he's not a talented drummer, and not to say that he didn't have his moments. It's very clear that this is mostly Emerson and Lake, and Carl and Palmer is just, just kind of here. You know what I mean? He finally gets his drum solo, and then, it's just amazing. Just amazing. It's an excellent drum solo. Not one of the best I've ever heard, but it's fucking gorgeous. It's not quite Bill Bruford level, but it's awesome. And then it kind of turns into, what the rest of a band plays during, a blues guitar solo. And then Keith Emerson comes in with this awful high-pitched solo, which is played competently. If it was played on any other instrument than what the fuck he's playing it on, it would be fine. But it's this awful high-pitched thing, and I hate it. It's awful. So that's Tank. Song number 6, Lucky Man, the final song on the album. This is by far Emerson, Lake, and Palmer's most famous song. Between this and, Carnival 9 First Impression Part 2, those on any given day, I'm sure you could open up Spotify and one of those two is the number one song being played for their respective artist page. It is it is an acoustic ballad about a beloved nobleman who goes off to war and dies, and it ends with a synth solo famously recorded in one take. This song was also initially written when Greg Lake was only 12, which for lyrics written by a 12-year-old, this is some pretty good stuff. Granted, he was going to school in the 50s, so he was probably a little bit more intelligent than the average 12-year-old today. So, yeah. Go buy it. It's awesome. It has its moments where it's iffy, and there's only 3 songs with vocals on them, but as an introduction to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, it is what it says on the tin, and it does what it says on the tin incredibly well. Just incredibly well. Just an amazing debut album, and an amazing album in general. Like, it's up there, like, in terms of debut albums. I don't know. It's up there with, who else was debuting at that time? Or just, debut albums in general. I think it's up there, certainly with The Doors. I wonder, Keith Emerson and Ray Manzarek doing a keyboard duel would be cool as fuck. But, yeah, it's certainly up there with The Doors in terms of debut albums for me. But, yeah, that's going to do it for this video and debut album January 2026. Thank you all very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. If you want to continue along this musical journey with me, please feel free to subscribe. If you have something to add, if you think I missed something, if you think I'm totally wrong, please feel free to, let me know about those things in the comment section down below. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with 2 of my buddies. It's called Dorkies. I will leave a link to the latest episode of that in the description down below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram. I will leave a link to that in the description down below. I post a song on my story there every single day. And with that, I would like to remind you all to stay weird and keep jamming. See you in the next one. Take care.